Hey, hey, good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Palm Desert. It is another wonderful Sunday to be together. It's December 20th, which means what? That's right, it's exactly 7 days from my birthday. Make a note of it. All right. For those of you celebrating Hanukkah, just wrapped up a couple days ago. Bless you in your celebration. And we continue to move through this season of light. So sit back, stand up, whatever you want to do. Enjoy this magnificent service during this high, holy day in the midst of the holiday season. Beloved CSL Palm Desert community, what a unique year it has been, and a special time that we're in right now during the holiday season. Because of this unique year and this special time, Dr. Joe has a special invitation for us regarding the bridge that we're building between 2020 and 2021. So I invite you to listen and receive the message Dr. Joe has for us right now.
Thank you, Reverend Charles. And speaking to Reverend Charles, I want to thank him for his commitment to our center. Reverend Charles moved his entire family down here last year, and thinking we were going to start making this transition into the new leadership of our center. And then COVID hit, so he's spent an entire year just kind of waiting, and he's still doing a lot of work, but he's also waiting to get his hands into this transition. So I just want to thank him for his service and to acknowledge the fact that he's been here almost a full year, and we're ready to put him to work in the new capacity as our new leader. So until then, you should be receiving a letter in the mail that I sent out this week, along with your year-end statements. And I want to share this with you because it's a really important time at our center. I start every letter out that I've ever sent with gratitude, thanking all of you for your continued support us. I know it's been a real challenging year for some of you, challenging financially, emotionally, physically, all of those things. And so I appreciate the support that you've given our center. We all do. And we want to continue doing what we're doing. And like Reverend Charles said, we want to build the bridge from 2020 to 2021. And in order to do that, we need to recognize some of our accomplishments and some of our challenges that are ahead. One of our accomplishments, we had to pivot everything that we did in March about how we do church, how we do our center's work in education and in Sunday services. So you saw us quickly move into a place where we were able to identify ways to communicate with you. Hence, you have the 10 o'clock morning services, of which we have had close to 265 to this taping, 265 different daily services, which unless you're a news company, that's outstanding. For a center to be able to do that is just amazing work. So while the doors appear to be closed, we've never been more open and available to our spiritual community. So that's great. We've never reached more people than we had before. But the problem is it also presented a challenge, a financial challenge for us. By the end of this year, we expect to be short by about $175,000 in Sunday donations. And that's a pretty big chunk. That would take a significant amount of our savings to continue doing this. And so we're appealing to you right now during this giving season, during this holiday season, for you to step up and actually contribute a little bit more, whatever you can do to offset that amount so we can build that bridge effectively from 2020 to 2021, because we want to make sure that when the center opens, and it will, their plans, the vaccines are coming out, we got plans. I know that the cities and states are going to be lifting some of the restrictions, and as they do that, we'll be opening our doors. And we want to make sure that we've continued to sustain and maintain the talent that we've had at the center and the way the center operates. In order to do that, we need your help. We need your help, and that's what we're appealing to you to do today. So please consider giving generously this holiday season over and above what you would normally do. Again, we are short about $175,000, and it would be nice to break even or better. I call it break even or better. Let's build the bridge to break even or better for this holiday season. So thank you so much for your continued support. We greatly appreciate it. We can't wait to see you and fill our sanctuary filled with that love and energy again. Bless you this holiday season. So I found this version of Twas the Night Before Christmas that I wrote several years ago, and I wanted to share it with you again this year because I figured it was very timely given what's going on in the world. 'Twas the night of my crisis, and all through my life there was pain and confusion, turmoil and strife. My worries were hung on the walls in my head as I lay all night sleepless, my life full of dread. Those who upset me were snug in their beds, and at no time was I prancing around in their heads, when out of the silence, an overwhelming feeling, my God, it was a Christ consciousness healing. I sprang from my bed and was all aflutter, tripping here, tripping there, way too much clutter. So away to the center, I flew like a flash, knowing that I'd find a true spiritual stash. The sun in my eyes, the mountains all covered, I knew in my head that's where it all hovered. When what to my wandering eyes should appear, that Christ is a feeling, a love, and so near. In less than a moment, a poof and a click, it cleared like the fog and was so very, very quick. More rapid than eagles, this idea then came as I sang and I prayed, knowing God's nature and name. I spoke not a word and went straight to my work. I realized my mind had created this jerk. Now with this great promise, knowledge I seek, a relationship within to prove I'm not weak. So I released and I let go. I let go of all ego and lack, and I embraced the I am, and I'm truly giving birth to that. I sprang into newness, this idea firmly grasped. I embraced the Christ idea, and I continued the task. And I came to exclaim, to affirm and impart that this, the Christ, was only the start. On beauty, on peace, on light, on love, on power, on joy, on life from above. From the top of my head, I now heed the call to manifest, manifest, manifest all. So here it is, December 20th, and my talk today. But before I get on my talk today, I want to talk about we're 5 days away from the birth of that Christ consciousness, but there's also a very special occasion happening 7 days from today, the second coming, which is actually Reverend Charles' birthday. So I just had to say that first. So there you go. All right, got to give props to my man. The title of my talk today is When My Best Isn't Good Enough. And it comes from a series of talks that I did a while back about how we look at life and how sometimes we don't put our all into everything because it's a little more comfortable to just put in what we're comfortable putting in. In other words, we're not expanding to our greatest potential. We're just kind of getting through. So here we go. Dr. Holmes said this: God cannot give us what we need until we first remove the obstructions in our own minds. The universe can't supply us with our needs and desires until we move what I want to call the Yabit Roadblocks out of the way. The Yabit Roadblocks are this: when someone says, well, you should do this or you should try that, you go, yeah, but. You create these roadblocks in your head. So even the most simple tasks to the most complex, many times we have a yeah, but consciousness that keeps us from moving into our greater good. And that actually obstructs the universe from being able to supply it to us. Next one, nobody succeeds beyond his or her wildest expectations unless he or she begins with some wild expectations. So let's unpack this. Nobody succeeds beyond our wildest expectations, our level of belief about ourselves. Here's a question: do you have any wild expectations? Now, I know that when I entered into 2020 this year, I had all these wild expectations of this magnificent year based on a number on a calendar and just this evolution of things in my mind that I thought I was entitled to, or it was my time to receive. So I had all these wild expectations, and as the year progressed, those expectations I lowered my expectations. And when I lowered my expectations, I began to see my energy level become lower, and my zest for things and enthusiasm became a little bit lower. And so I need to rekindle that because we're bridging ourselves into 2021, and we know that things are going to be changing here on the horizon. So now I need to go back and start raising my level of expectation for myself and for my life and for our center. When we do those things, when we begin to raise the expectation, the expectancy of good, then things can happen. Otherwise, we have that obstruction that's keeping us from moving forward into greater expression. The day that I have nothing pleasant to look at, oh, here we go. The day that we have nothing pleasant to look forward to, nothing happy to anticipate, we are lost, and particularly if we have piled up a lot of negative experience in the past. This is direct from Dr. Holmes, right? The day we have nothing pleasant to look forward to, nothing happy to anticipate, we are lost, and particularly if we've piled up a lot of negative experience in the past. This, we all have this, no, I shouldn't say this, we all. Many people, myself included, at times there was like, I'm having a hard time looking forward to the future when I don't know when the future is going to start unfolding. Because of this whole thing that's been happening in the world this year, there's been this reluctance on my part to move forward because, and actually look forward to something, because it's like, well, I can start talking about it, but I can't do anything until all of these other things resolve themselves. And I realized I was starting to pile up negative ideas about what the future looked like, and they were all contingent upon something else happening, so in order for me to walk into my good. So the lesson for me was I have to start having something, maybe not necessarily on a calendar, because God knows the calendars have shifted quite a bit in terms of what we can do and can't do and when we can do them. But maybe just starting to look into the future and saying, not attach a date to it, but I see myself in a picture experiencing something, and the time is not necessarily as important as the vision that I have for my future. I hope that makes sense. The moment hope goes out on us, we begin to get physically sick, and that place in our body where there is the least resistance will be the affected part. The moment we give up hope, the moment we give up our excitement, that is an invitation for illness. It's a way that illness works its way into the body. When we start giving space to the negative images, we're giving space to a negative vibration and a negative frequency, which in return we attract into our body, and usually that's the trigger for illness. Dr. Holmes said this: hope is good, it is better than despair, but it is a subtle illusion and is an unconscious compromise. It's true. We can't hope that things get better, we want to know that things are better, okay? There's a big difference. Now, hope is better than despair. It's good, it's better than despair, but it's not knowing. The real thing that we want to do is we want to get beyond hope into knowing that things are unfolding for a greater good, knowing that my future is unfolding in a way that's going to be exciting, knowing that there are things to look forward to, and start creating them in our minds. Not just hoping that things are going to turn out a certain way, but knowing they're turning out in a certain way. I love this. Dr. Holmes said this: we should say to doubt, where did you come from? Who is your father? Right? Like Darth Vader, who is your father? You have no place in my mind. Get out. So when doubt starts to show up, you have a conversation with it. Say, where did you come from? And you know what? I don't like you. Get out. You don't have any place in my mind. And start having a conversation with it. Instead of feeding it, evict it. Next thing, I know that faith within me now neutralizes all doubt. I know that the faith within me now neutralizes all doubt. Say that. I know that the faith within me now neutralizes all doubt. This is a scientific use of a mental statement. There must be no compromises with the consciousness. So you don't compromise with consciousness when you say this. You can't say, well, I hope that faith has neutralized all doubt. I hope my faith has done enough. I hope I have enough faith to have neutralized this thought. No, I know that the faith within me now neutralizes all doubt. That's where we want to go. Next thing, expectancy leaves no room for failure. Hope depends on other conditions. So let's go there. Expectancy leaves no room for failure. When I expect something, I'm not playing or dabbling in alternate plans. I have an expectation that something specific is going to happen in my life. And when I have that expectancy, I don't play around with the idea of it not happening. Hope depends on other conditions unless, okay, here's an acronym for hope. Hope, having only positive expectations. That's the only time that you can use the word hope, is when you redefine it like this: I'm having only positive expectations. It moves from hope into expectancy. So if hope, the word hope just kind of flies out of your mouth, and it does naturally, I want you to start rethinking what hope really means and use that acronym, having only positive expectations. When we change our expectations, you begin to change your conditions. Change your expectations, and soon as your level of expectancy for your life begins to change, your life will begin to reflect the change in that expectation. It makes sense. But if you don't have the expectancy, if you only have hope, and if you only are begging or wishing or bargaining with God to get your good, your conditions are not going to change. When it moves into a place of knowing, when you change your expectations and you know that this is yours, the outward conditions will begin to change. I love this. Expecting the world to treat you fairly because you are a good person is a little like expecting a bull not to attack you because you're a vegetarian. So there you go. Says it all, doesn't it? Expecting the world to treat you fairly because you're a good person, that's not necessarily true, because you know what? People are people and things happen, right? But that's like expecting a bull not to attack you because you're a vegetarian. It doesn't know. It just knows how to do. And we are reactionaries to life and people around us. So when we have this idea, we cannot think, oh, the world owes me this. No, the world co-creates by means of me in this. The world doesn't owe us anything. It only owes us what it's already given us. And that's free will and the power to do what our mind sets itself to do. That's what the gift has been given. All right, next thing. How can you change your expectancies? When you form the habit of expecting loss, lack, or failure. So the question, here it is. How can you change your expectancies when you formed a habit of expecting loss, lack, or failure? Do you know what those phrases are in your life that indicate that you've accepted loss, lack, and failure? Well, isn't that just the way it always turns out? You know, you try to do something nice for somebody and you get slapped in the face, right? You say things, oh, this always happens to me this way. As soon as I do something, of course, that negative thing happens to me. We have this dialogue with ourselves, and so there's actually an expectation of failure, lack, and loss. Most people are living in two worlds, the one they dream of and the one they live in. Yeah. And I think this year, particularly for me, and maybe for you, I don't know if that's the case, there have been a lot of times I've been living in a world of dreaming instead of the one I'm in. Because the one I'm in was a little uncomfortable at times, and the one I was in just felt very disjointed. Whether it was, you know, during COVID and when Trey and I and Carly got sick and when other things happened, I'm not sure if I was actually living in the moment or living in the dream of a possibility, but the more we can live in this day, and what I'm peeling back from this experience over the past year is this, the more I can live in this day and take whatever is happening in this moment as just this moment, it serves me well and serves my future well because I don't begin to futurize the negativity, the separation, the fear. I don't begin to futurize that, I call it, and then bring it into my experience. I'm able to define that and move it back and say, be in this moment. I found myself many times during my sabbatical, I would start to imagine all the things that my life had required or was going to require, and I would start getting upset and start thinking about just how COVID and blah, 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 the center and how everything is going to work. And I was managing the whole world from this control center up here. I mean, every aspect of my life and my relationships and my health and the health of the center and the people and my family. You know what I'm talking about. Anybody else familiar with that? You know what that feels like to be that control tower of all those emotions and thoughts. And what I soon came to realize is I was playing in this realm as I was sitting under a beautiful palm tree in the sun and with a beautiful pool. No one was around. It was totally secluded. And I'm in this like oasis. And I couldn't even appreciate the oasis because the control tower was so damn busy moving things around. So I lost the ability to live in the world because I was living in what was going to be what I was trying to manipulate as my future or our future together and try to take all the variables and control them so that things can get better. I lost the moment. So I had to continuously remind myself, be here now, get here right now. Stop playing over here. That's going to take care of itself. Have a vision, but then just sit back and stop micromanaging the how-tos to get to where we need to go. Expectancy speeds progress. Therefore, live in a continual state of expectancy. No matter how much good you are experiencing today, expect greater good tomorrow. Dr. Holmes said this, expectancy speeds progress. God bless Reverend Marion Whiteman. All of her prayers, she always would say, with joyous expectancy, I release my word and I know it is so. And I thought, that's amazing. There's an expectancy of good. Expectancy speeds progress. Therefore, when we live in that state of expectancy, no matter how much good we have, more good is available to us. Have a wonderful holiday this week and join our candlelight service. I think it's going to be broadcast on the 24th. So I hope you join us. Thank you and blessings to you this year.
Well, what can I say? Another fabulous talk by Dr. Joe. Did you enjoy watching William crawling around back there in his Christmas jammies? He's all ready for Christmas, and I know you are too. And so I want to do my closing prayer, and just so inspired by Dr. Joe and what he said. So let us just take that deep cleansing breath in and join me, knowing that the words I say for myself are the truth for you if you so choose. Recognizing that light that is within us and everywhere present. Knowing that in this season of giving and receiving, we are so blessed, knowing that Spirit is always present, knowing that this divine light is always shining. It is the Alpha and the Omega. It is the beginning, the end. It is life expressing so magnificently, so perfectly. And we are one with it. It is inseparable from each and every one of us. Each one of us is this divine expression of love and light and creativity. So in this season of Christmas, this seasons of joyous holiday, we are steeped in gratitude for all that we have, knowing that all we have is this moment, and this moment is perfect, and it leads to the next moment that is perfect. And life is unfolding for each and every one of us and for the world. That there is a higher vision, a higher view of life, and we are all marching to that higher view, to that place of love, to that place of gratitude for all that we have, creating this world that works for everyone. And so I know that as we end this holiday season, in anticipation of the new year, life is good, life is very, very good, and that is our focus, that is our knowing, that is our being. So I release my word in joyous anticipation, knowing that all is good, all is unfolding perfectly, and that it is already done in the one mind. And I let go, let God, and together we say, and so it is. Amen. Everyone, have a wonderful holiday. Thank you for joining us. And I feel so blessed that you are all a part of our spiritual family.